Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is episode 68 of Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. And today we're talking about High Point Market trends from the October 2019 market. So we weren't able to go because we had just returned from our adventures at the Roundtop Antiques Fair. And we, had to get down to business. So good thing is we've got lots of talented and knowledgeable designer buddies who would fill us in on the latest and greatest trends. So we asked them to call in and give us their top finds and takeaways so that we could share them with you.
So we've talked about High Point Market many times, and you probably all know this, but in case you're new to the design world, here's the scoop of what the High Point Furniture Market is. It is in High Point, North Carolina. It's the largest home furnishings industry trade show in the world with over, this is bizarre, 10 million square feet.
It's crazy.
And roughly 2,000 exhibitors throughout about 180 buildings. So they put it on semi-annually every April and October, and it's definitely a must destination to be in the know of what's coming up ahead.
And we have to be in the know.
Yep.
So we had serious FOMO as usual. We make these decisions. Okay, we're going to miss this market. And then we sit back and we watch it all on social media and we're like, we miss it. So we're going to start out with our designer friend, Lisa Peck. She is from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Look her up. She's Lilu Interiors, Lilu. And she had some great feedback for us.
Hi, Kelly and Joanne. Lisa Peck here from Lilu Interiors in Minneapolis. This fall market at High Point was very inspiring. I saw a dichotomy of color, from soft pastels with a bit of a gray tone, pinks, blues, and soft sages, that were juxtaposed with rich, vibrant colors like paprika, merlot, mustard, and dark sapphire. It was a color lover's market. Another thing I noticed was a marrying of organic materials with modern forms. Rattan and caning were used in very modern designs in lighting and furnishings at Hudson Valley Lighting and Four Hands Furniture, and we saw rattan and caning in many, many showrooms. There was also a strong 70s influence at market, from brutalism in a new dining table and frank cabinet at Krabbit to disco glam in upholstery from that same collection by Michael Berman. At Made Goods, both mirrors and case goods reflected the best of the 70s glam and 70s boho vibe. We really saw a strong 70s vibe in many locations.
So well said, Lisa.
Wow.
Wow. Did you write that all out and then say it perfectly? It was awesome. And this is what you guys are going to find is you'll see, we talked to many designer friends from across the country, and you'll see their trends repeated. And if you go back to our last High Point Market trend report, some of these trends are still apparent and being repeated again, which just means that they're strong and you need to pay attention.
And the other thing is you'll notice here, all of the designers that we asked are from different parts of the country. So somebody on the West Coast might be looking for something a little different than somebody on the East Coast or somebody in the South. But there are certain things, like color, that will be used all over the country. So this is very, very exciting. So our next person is Michelle Plachter. She's Michelle Plachter Design, and her name is spelled MichelePlachter, and she's in Philadelphia.
Hi, Kelly and Joanne. It's Michelle Plachter calling, and I just wanted to share with you, I would say, a few trends that I really felt were coming through strong at the most recent market. And you're going to laugh, but it's 3 C's. It's my 3 C's for market. It's the curves. So many amazing sofas, chairs, tables, just a lot of curves. And I think that's a really amazing trend and really kind of cool and different. a lot more color this year. I felt that there was a lot more richness and saturation in a lot of lines, which really makes me happy. It's my kind of thing. So I love a lot of the rich, vibrant colors. And the third C is competitive pricing. I think some lines now are finally getting the news alert that a lot of young up-and-coming clients are looking for, something similar to the West Elms, dare I say it, and Restoration Hardwares. But now they're coming out with price points that can compete with that at better qualities and more selection. So there's my 3 C's: curves, color, and competitive pricing. I hope to see you both soon. It's time for some tequila together. Okay. Ciao. Bye.
She's given away her secrets.
Oh, I love you, Michelle. She's such a fun girl. That was so talented.
Yeah, so great. That's really good information. The competitive pricing thing, I think, is really happening because of all of the online shopping and all the catalogs. So
no kidding.
This is really good for us.
But what I love about that is that it's still coming from the reputable lines that we love. So it's still in the same factory. It's still the same great customer service team, but they've gotten smart and they've given some options to the designers and thus the consumer so that we don't lose those particular clients. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a key point. She's the only one that brought that up, but I think it's so important.
And they're thinking ahead. So that's always good.
Absolutely. So next is our savvy friend, Leslie Carruthers, who's just the biggest cheerleader for our business. She runs the Kaleidoscope Project and Savor Partnership, and she's out of Houston, and she's always got great things to say.
Hi, everybody. This is Leslie Carruthers, the owner of the Kaleidoscope Partnership and Savor Partnership. And I'm excited to share with you all today the top trends that I saw at the Fall 2019 High Point Market. Let me start with pop art. I saw a lot of pop art references on pillows, on wall art, on textiles, and even on furniture. And related to that, I saw a lot of slogan art. And I think this is a trend that we will continue to see develop into spring 2019. Next, I saw in terms of color, a lot of terracotta that reflected in warm golds and coppers, etc. Next, I saw a lot of curving biophilic shapes that reflect our need to be connected to the outdoors. Also lots of oval shapes, especially in upholstery. And then lastly, I saw in terms of textiles, a lot of very nubbly textures. So a lot of boucle, a little bit of a move away from sheepskin, but the nubbly textures were big, I think reflecting our need to nest and feel safe and secure in our homes. So those were my top trends from High Point Market, and I look forward to finding out about what yours were when I listen to Kelly and Joanne's next podcast. Thanks so much.
There was again the color.
Perfect and prepared.
Yes. Well, I love the vocabulary, biophilic. That's really. These are some smart women.
Yeah, and I like that she repeated curves again because we do feel like we're living in a very fresh, simple, and straight lined aesthetic right now, and so I love that. And I wonder if that millennial client that's driving the competitive pricing is also driving the pop and slogan art coming in because they love that. They love that urban vibe, and I thought that was cool that she brought that up.
Yeah. Okay, next we've got Patty Johnson from Patty Johnson Interiors in Lebanon, Ohio, and she spells her name Patti Johnson.
And she's got lots of good stuff to say.
Okay.
Hi, this is Patty Johnson, owner of Patty Johnson Interiors in Lebanon, Ohio, conveniently located between Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio. I am a full-service interior designer and specialize in whole home renovation, design, and decoration. I just got back from Fall Market 2019, and it was refreshing. I had missed a couple markets, but I would say that the top trends I saw were an overall movement away from gray, which was very refreshing. There's still some gray out there, obviously, but I saw a very different market, not the moodiness and dark grays of before, but a much lighter overall feel in home furnishings. The second trend I would say would be the use of white upholstery. White upholstery was seen everywhere, and I would say that's probably in connection with all the options in performance fabrics that are available out there. And also blues are still very predominant, a movement away from the midnight and navy blues of the past into more of a royal and teal. And the biggest surprise I saw was the baby blue. A lot of baby blue, some paired with the blush pink, which is the color of the year for Benjamin Moore. But that was very interesting to see. But an overall freshness and lightness throughout market, which I found so refreshing this year. I wanted to thank you both for asking me to participate in your amazing podcast and share a little bit more about what the trends that I saw down at High Point Market this fall. And I wanted to mention that there is an overall return to glamour. And by that I mean the finer things, a lot of metals, a lot of mixed metals on furnishings such as brass tables. But the return to glam is really more of a movement away from the industrial look. I saw less rustic and less industrial and a little bit more of a higher end look in case goods overall. I would also say that the marriage of stone with case goods, whether it's on tops or fronts, a lot of interesting marriages in the case goods as far as shell and different types of stones, and even on brass bases you might find a lot more stone tops. So a lot of natural materials mixed with man-made materials, and overall just a lot less of the kind of the rustic bulky look. I would say a little refinement, if you will. That about wraps up the major trends. There's always something for everyone, and the thrill is in the hunt, right? So anyway, thanks again for asking me to participate. It's been great. Thanks.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of good stuff.
A lot of good information. I think when you listen to this and don't think because the return of glam is there and the rustic is gone, doesn't mean that needs to be your whole house. These are just some trends that you can incorporate into maybe what you have right now. So don't think you need to chuck everything. These are just some trends and
absolutely
just what's new.
But I liked she I think is the only one that brought up the point of the use of white upholstery due to the surgence of performance fabrics. So yeah, don't be afraid of using light sofas. We specify them a lot and our clients freak out. But when you can put bleach on a fabric and it's perfectly fine, it really gives you different options for designing a space. And I still love, I hope the trend never goes away. I love the mixing of the organic,
the natural elements
with metals or glass or whatever man-made material. I love that, and I hope it never goes away. Yeah. Okay, so next up is Ginger Hartford. She's Your Design Studio, and she's out of Dallas.
Hi, this is Ginger Hartford with Your Design Studio. My final segment for the top artful living highlights at High Point Market. Can we just speak for a moment about Form Design Studio? They were amazing and everywhere, from cover of Designers Today to amazing collaborations with Global Views and Merabin collection for rugs. They were just really setting a new tone for design with a contemporary Belgian influence in natural organic materials. Their designs are all about simplicity and mood, and their elements, my gosh, their elements with shapes and material reference and craftsmanship. These two designers are inspired not only about extraordinary people and storytelling and craftsmanship, but their very definition of the creative process begins with art. And so I found that so wonderful because they blend what is beautiful and what it sustains. Their principles, as they say, are all about form following function. And so it's just intriguing to see their collection coming to market that's inspired by artwork and then reproduced in original artworks and fine rugs.
I love that Ginger always brings up art. It's so important.
Yeah. I think, even like what Leslie was saying about the pop art and the slogan art, I feel like I see Wendy O'Connor, who's an amazing artist, using her art as wallpaper.
Yes.
And using it on pillows. And I think it's beautiful to look at.
And people might think, High Point sell furniture. Oh my gosh, there's so much art. And it's obviously, one of the first things that inspire us in our designs.
Okay, so we go from Ginger, who's in Dallas, all the way across to Deborah Van Donop, who is DVD Interior Design, and she's in Greenwich, Connecticut.
So I wanted to talk about color in fabrics and furniture that I saw at High Point. The overall palette was, again, washed whites, blush, and sandy grays accented with metal, such as gold. It was everywhere. But the cream as a base color in furnishings and the envelope of the room is a new introduction that I noticed. I think it's being used to balance the blush and soft gray in many spaces with pops of color or color blocks in furniture and soft furnishings, But basically the overall idea of calm, color is calming, is what I was seeing. Everyone was also talking about that shift from the millennial pink that we were all talking about 2 years ago to a softer pink, a complementive palette like the color First Light from Benjamin Moore that was introduced as Color of the Year, or Calming Pink by Farrow and Ball. So nature-inspired colors from sky and earth. But for me, I saw a lot of creams with these earthen accents, and the interiors has shifted not to a beige, but more of a cream palette with cool light gray. Gray is still a decor player, but I keep seeing that the shift is moving from gray to bone, or that cream color. So in other words, from a cool neutral to warmer ones.
Isn't it funny?
She's right on, because this is exactly what everybody said.
It's what Sue Wadden said, remember?
Yep. And at the last High Point Market, they were saying the gray, it's not gone, but it's shifting to be a little bit warmer. And bone was...
If you go back to our podcast, one of our favorite ones with Sue Wadden, the color marketing director of Sherwin-Williams, she specifically said that bone was coming in to kind of soften the grays. And she said the gray is not going bye-bye, so don't panic, everybody. But that creamy softness, and that's when she brought up shiitake and that mushroomy color too.
The more warmer brown. Not the word brown, but the browner tones and not so light. And then blush, once again, that's what people are saying. And the just color being so much more, seen so much more, because the last few markets, everything was really, really neutral.
But isn't it funny? I mean, I feel like blush has stayed around like longer than some of the others.
We did blush in that Chicago project, what was it, like 3 years ago, and I felt like it was very
on trend at the time.
Then. But yeah, I think it's so pretty.
But what surprised me with this one is that like they're saying, the blush is a little bit less pink, and it's also moving towards the paprika and the merlot, which are not really my personal favorite colors, but I guess when I think of them combined with blush and bone, I really like it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like I wouldn't paint a wall merlot
personally,
for sure.
Yeah.
But if you had a beautiful sofa and you had some art that had just a little bit of that merlot color, like mixing in with that blush, would be absolutely beautiful.
Yep. So next up is our good friend Kara Cox. She is so talented. Look her up. She's in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she is the owner of Kara Cox Interiors.
Hi, ladies. This is Kara Cox with Kara Cox Interiors. I was a style spotter for High Point Market this fall, and we saw some great new trends that I would love to share with you. One of them were gesso finishes across all categories, from lighting to furniture to mirrors, this just beautiful chalky matte white finish that was really pretty. Another was the trend of the blush pinks, really deepening to a beautiful Merlot burgundy color. And it was paired in really unusual color combinations with sky blue and citron. So burgundy was not necessarily paired with other jewel tones, but with lighter pastels, and it was really fresh feeling. And lastly, the biggest trend we saw was really furniture as art.
There we go again, talking about art, the curved backs, open arms, multiple materials. But I love what she said about this Merlot color once again, that generally, that's considered a jewel tone, but how great it's paired with pastels.
She just said what I just said, and I'm so glad about that, because I personally, I don't love jewel tones, but the pairings that she's talking about with chartreuse and oh my gosh,
and then
that's just beautiful.
The gesso finish is GESSO. Designers know what this is, but maybe the average person doesn't know what that is. But we have seen so much of that in lighting, and it's just another cool, different kind of finish. And
it kind of looks like plaster.
Yeah,
it has texture to it. It's a little chalky.
But it's different.
It's just totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I love about this kind of a podcast is this is probably not information that you're going to be able to read just anywhere. Like this, nope. These people have gone and invested to go to the High Point Market to find out what's coming out. And so I think it's just such great information for a person who maybe likes to do their own design but doesn't really know all the products that are out there. Mm-hmm. So I think this is, I love everything that everybody's telling us because it just really helps us to see kind of what's happening.
Okay, next up, and she's our last one, is our friend Cindy. She goes by Cynthia for her business, Cynthia Porsche Interiors, and she's in Atlanta.
Hey, Joanne and Kelly. This is Cynthia Porsche with Cynthia Porsche Interiors. I would love to share with you our experience at October's High Point Market. We had a great time looking at all the new details. There's so many curated elements of design going on. We were really surprised with all the different color pops, especially in velvet and linen. So what I see that each showroom brought to the table was a big mix where you're curating soft, relaxed details of wood tones, but a big modern punch with color and sleeker designs with upholstery. There is a soft nod to traditional, but it's very transitional.
Isn't it? So she's like the greatest summary because she just like
everything
reiterated
about,
again what our friends are saying. And I think it's such an exciting time. I mean, this doesn't mean, oh my God, my house is totally, out of trend and I got to go change everything. It's just inspiration. It's just to know kind of what's out there. And, if it speaks to you, it appeals to you, then cool. Go do it.
If you have a neutral sofa, chuck your old pillows and just add, like she's talking, a punch of color or, just like a pop of color. And once again, the velvets, the linens, I love that combination. So, yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
And I think if you know this kind of thing, you might be more apt to kind of look at things in a new way. Maybe you go in your attic and you say, you know what? There's that rattan table that was my grandmother's that's beautifully woven, but it seemed outdoor to me at the time. I wasn't going to use it, but now let me bring that down to my family room and put a piece of glass on it.
The rattan is huge.
It's huge.
And I really love it.
I love it mixed with antiques, mixed with contemporary. It's just fresh. I really love it. So that was just such great feedback from our friends. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
That was really awesome. Okay, time for a few quotes.
Well, this is very appropriate for me because I'll be traveling to Ohio for a wedding and I will be flying. So here's the funny quote. Mm-hmm. For me, being chill is getting to the airport 3 hours before takeoff so I can sit in a restaurant directly across from the gate and be anxious about missing my flight from there.
That's my mom and dad.
Yeah, I've never missed a flight in my entire life, but you would think that it's happened to me before because of like the stress that I cause myself. But it's so true.
It's so true.
Kelly's the same way. When we're traveling for business, we're like, okay, flight's at 11. All right, I'll be there at 6:45.
Yeah. I'd rather just sit in a restaurant and have a very relaxing meal. It's just the way it goes. Okay, serious quote. This is from Ronald Reagan, which I thought was very appropriate in this tumultuous time we are living in right now. There is no limit to the amount of good you can do if you don't care who gets the credit.
What a concept.
Don't you just want to tell everybody with a big fat ego to shut up? Yes. I mean, yes, just do good, people, and just let it flow.
Speaking of doing good, I think we have a couple of extra minutes. We attended the designer experience. This time it was in our hometown here of Atlanta. And we stayed at the W Midtown. And went to ADAC and America's Mart, had some great speakers, Lexa Hampton, Michelle Boyd.
This was run by Designers Today magazine and PBM brands.
And so on the last day, it was a visit to the Curry of Curry Lighting, to their home in Sparta, to tour their gardens, and they had a bonsai guy. I, unfortunately, if you have listened for any amount of time, know I am obsessed with bonsai. I think it's so cool. And they had a guy who was teaching people how to do it. But the Curry family, talk about doing good and being such great people. They're not sponsoring this podcast, by the way, but we just love them. They have such great lighting, and their family is just so real and close, and they're very good to people.
It's a very soft touch company, and we just adore everybody there. We know the entire organization really personally, and we're not the only designers that do, which is
so. It was really nice that they took these 50 designers and had them to their home, and fed them and showed them around and talked about their story. And so I know everybody loved it, said it was a really special day. So thank you, Curry.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.